Good evening or good afternoon, depending on where you are. I'm Dante St. James. We're going to be looking at this topic, which is your always on, always working ads plan. I'm not going to tell you how to advertise. What I'm going to do is tell you how to think about advertising, which sounds a little bit creepy. I'm going to tell you how to think. It's not that bad. Trust me, it's all about basically thinking about advertising as more than just walking up to saying something, hey, buy my stuff, and thinking of it more as a journey that the customer goes on towards you and how you then play that out over the ads that you'll do on platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, and pretty much anything. In fact, these same principles work with television, radio, print, all of those as well. The customer journey isn't a new idea. It's actually a very established idea. So let's get that screen shared and get underway. Hopefully we'll have a bit of an early mark tonight because let's face it, it's about dinner time and at least half the audience here tonight. As I said, my name's Dante St. James. And this is Henry Ford, a man who has had a bit of a mixed history. At one stage, he was a hero of a nation. Now he's been known as a little bit of a jerk. But he did say that a man who stops advertising to save money is like a man who stops a clock to save time. Advertising is a reality when it comes to the world we live in, particularly when it comes to digital solutions like we're looking at today. So what we're going to cover is the sales funnel concept, what is realistically required when it comes to this, and also a few options for you to consider that may make the whole process just feel a little bit more, I don't know, familiar maybe, or even make it feel like it's a bit more realistic for you to try and creating your business, I suppose. Because after all, some of these gurus come along and they've got their billion-dollar budgets, and it doesn't really seem very realistic to us, does it? This is brought to you by Business Station and Digital Solutions from the Australian Small Business Advisory Services, an initiative of the Australian government. Brand new program starting tomorrow. I'll talk a bit more about that towards the end and how you may be able to take part. Good news is that all the webinars and workshops are free to anybody to attend, so you're never going to be out of those, or at least until September 30 next year. What you can do though is if you need to drop out at any point, or if you're watching this after the fact, you're doing it on YouTube. And if you're not watching on YouTube, you're live right now on Zoom. If you're not live right now on Zoom, you can watch this on YouTube later on through the Business Station YouTube channel or my own Dante St. James one as well. I usually have this up probably within an hour of the webinar finishing, so you can watch it again if you need to. A bit about me, if you haven't seen me before, my business is a Clickstarter, Cellular One, and DanteSt.James.com. I do a telecommunications business. I own a cafe. I've got a coffee grounds repurposing business. I've got a beauty business as an e-commerce thing on the side. I do a lot of things, and I'm a bit of a all or nothing kind of guy. So if I'm going to create businesses, I go all in. I get very excited and I overwork myself to death. Not quite to death, but you can imagine I'm a very extreme kind of person. My studies began at the University of New South Wales, Sydney in marketing and business information systems, where I got my both bachelor and master's. Thank you to my previous employer for that. I've done a lot of study with the Chartered Institute of Marketing in the UK, and I've done a lot of micro credentials such as cybersecurity and business administration through TAFE New South Wales. I like to do at least one of those a year just to keep me sharp and on the ball. I'm working with Facebook Australia at the moment as a lead trainer and as a digital marketing associate and media planning professional. Hopefully we'll be able to get on the road again very shortly and be able to sort of visit more places. I'm definitely overdue for a visit to South Australia, so I'm definitely looking forward to that before the end of the year. Google's Digital Springboard project, as well as the Digital Solutions Program, NICE program, and Be Connected program, all with the Australian government, a part of what I do as well. If you've got some questions along the way, please don't be too shy. You can ask them. You can either, we don't have the hands up thing. That's only for the full on workshops, but you can put something in the chat. I will see that. I've got it up on this screen over to my right, which is your left, just so I can see when those messages come up. If there's something you'd like clarified again, please don't hesitate to ask, because I can guarantee there's somebody else in the group or someone else on YouTube who is thinking of that same question. So first of all, we're going to look at a concept called the sales funnel. Now, you may know about this, you may not. This may be the first time you've ever come across this, but it's a very old idea. It's not a new idea at all. Probably made very popular by a guy called Russell Brunson, who created a program called ClickFunnels. He didn't invent the idea of the sales funnel, but he did Probably make it more accessible for people through his ClickFunnels product. The sales funnel essentially is made of, not this, which is the customer breathes and we try to sell them something. They just turn up. We try to go, oh, yeah, buy this. They're walking down the street and we're yelling at them to come and buy this, buy that. Remember spruikers in shopping centers back in probably the 90s? We don't really have them a lot anymore. Standing out the front of the shopping center, yelling into a microphone, telling you all the fabulous things you can buy at Lowe's. Well, that's not what we're about. Definitely not what we're about. The sales funnel recognizes that people are at different stages when it comes to buying. They'll look at things like the awareness, consideration, and conversion. And now they're not consciously in these areas. These are just the categories that some very smart people have created around that. And when I say very smart people like Facebook, people like LinkedIn, people like Google have all come up and known that these are the three main stages of the customer journey. And I'll explain what they are a little bit. The awareness part is all about, well, I guess it's all a customer journey, because the customer goes from not being aware of you to being aware of you and considering buying what you want to buy, what they want to buy, and then to the very, very end, which is the pointy end, which is conversion. Small businesses, we like to live in this bit, the conversion, because we're always trying to make that sale because, let's make it, we're trying to make it to payroll. We're trying to pay the rent. We're trying to keep our heads above water. It's a hard battle out there. But the reality is that most money in the world, especially with big advertisers, is spent in the awareness stage. It's making people aware or freshly aware that particular product or service is available, is for them, and there's a whole bunch of reasons why they should go and follow that. The consideration is like the second biggest area of spend, and conversion is actually the lowest area of spend. And it tends to be the ones that spend the most on it are small businesses that are desperate for a sale, and that desperation almost sweats out of their efforts. Now, this is all broken down into awareness. This is where a potential customer is not aware of you. They don't know who you are. They don't know what you're selling. They're not interested in it. Then they just don't care. They just have no need for what you sell right now. But it doesn't mean they'll never have a need for that. One day they may actually need what you do. One day they may actually come forward to you, but only if they know you. In this stage of marketing or advertising, you're going to make them aware of you. Like I said, they may not need you, and probably less than 10% of people who ever see the ads in a come and buy this now from me thing ever actually are interested in buying now. It's more like about 2% are actually in that position. But over time, when someone needs what you do, they will remember your name because it's like the Harvey Norman effect. Harvey Norman spends so much of their time making you aware that they exist. So when you need a television, the first place many people think of is Harvey Norman because it's all over TV, all over radio. You are aware that they sell TVs. You're aware they sell beds. You're aware you know exactly who Harvey Norman is, and you know what they sell, and not by chance. It's by design. They spend a massive multi-$100 million a year on making sure you're aware of them here in Australia. And that's why they're now an international country in places like, I think they've got a Japanese store now. They're all over New Zealand, that's for sure. They're in all kinds of countries. Singapore, I think, had a Harvey Norman there for a while. And I believe that Malaysia's also got Harvey Norman. They're growing really fast, even if it might feel like they're slowing down in Australia. So then we move on to the second level of our sales funnel. And that is what we call the consideration level. And in the consideration level, people are aware of what you are. They are aware of what you do. They're very, very aware of what it is you sell, but they're kind of shopping around. They're not really, ready to buy necessarily. They're not really in a position where they want to, deal with you yet. Where they're mostly at is they're trying to get an understanding of whether this product is for them. They're shopping around, they're comparing, they're learning more about the product, and some people can go straight from consideration to buying, but most people go past this level and take the information they've got, do a weighing up, and then they get to where we call conversion, which is the final layer of the sales funnel. And in the final layer, this is where your customer is ready to buy. They haven't necessarily decided they're buying it from you, but they could be pretty easily swayed. The problem is, though, they can just as easily be swayed to not buy it from you or to not buy it at all. In fact, buyer's remorse kicks in at this stage before they've even had a chance to buy it. So whilst they're ready to buy, they're also scared of buying. They're afraid that this is not going to be for them. They're afraid that they make the wrong decision. It's like you bought that brand new bed and then you realize a week later that another bed, which is better than yours, got on special and now it's the same price as what you paid. Wow. That is buyer's remorse. The other factor of a customer at this level too, is that they're very easily distracted. They're very easily thinking that life happens. So life will happen. In the middle of the buying, in the middle of the conversion thing, you've got your customers at that point where phones are ringing, kids are coming home from school, things are happening with, I don't know, with, they're getting notifications on their mobile phone from all sorts of things and all sorts of people. They're getting a call from their mum, the microwave is blinking at them, the washing machine's ready, something's happening. There's always something happening that will turn someone away from their focus on buying from you. Now, one of the number one places, and there's a couple of them everyone goes to when they're distracted, there's a dirty fact about mobile phones, and it's quite gross and disgusting, but it's something that happens. We spend an inordinate amount of time shopping, searching, messaging whilst we're on the toilet, which is why you should never touch anybody's phone ever, because it's filthy and covered in their bacteria. We don't want that. So make sure you don't touch someone else's phone, because it's been all sorts of places, primarily into the small room of the house. So when it comes to the conversion, you've got to understand where people are at and what they're doing. Usually when they get distracted, they go to their phone. What's on their phone? Facebook. What else is on their phone? Instagram. What else is on their phone? TikTok. All these things that can take them away from what they were doing, which was buying. So in this layer, you've got the opportunity to deliver something which breaks that distraction and brings them back to where they were. And platforms like Facebook particularly have a really handy knack of knowing that you were kind of doing this thing and now you're not. I need to throw you another ad to remind you. So there's lots of different things that can be done here. Primarily is the retargeting of people as they're in the process of abandoning a cart, or they might have abandoned it 15 minutes ago, and there's an ad that comes up to remind them of that. Hopefully, if they're the kind of person that isn't doing that on an iPhone, because it's on iPhone, we can't really track those people at the moment, which is sad. So next, why do we bother with this funky sales funnel at all? What is the reason? Why do we need to? Is there even a reason why we need to? Like, can we just avoid the sales funnel altogether? I'd like to say we probably could, but the sales funnel has been proven to be so successful and consistently successful that we kind of be crazy to avoid it. We use the sales funnel primarily because 65% roughly of all the customers in the world, all the customers that could be looking for what it is you're looking for, are still in the awareness phase. We need to let them know that you exist. And that's not just saying we exist, now come buy something from us. We've got to understand they're not ready for that. They're nowhere near that point. They don't get anywhere near it until they're in the consideration stage, where perhaps only 30% of people are living. And in that 30% is where people are starting to actually look for you. Because actually, that's not correct. They're not looking for you. They've never heard of you. What they're looking for is what you do. And they're doing it at places like Google, where they're going to find out what it is you do and whether you're a good deal. Now, if you're not showing up on Google, you're kind of screwed unless they know who you are, because then they're looking for you on Google, not just looking for what you do. If you're not just looking for a plumber, you're looking for Dave's Plumbers. You're not just looking for scented candles, you're looking for Mari's scented candles. You're looking for the thing that you saw earlier on social media, heard on radio, saw on television, where they introduce you to the idea of who they are and what they do. They weren't trying to get a sale out of you. They were just introducing you to what they are and who they are and what they do. Only 5%, and it's down as low as 2% in different times of the year. In the conversion phase, that might go up a little bit more around Christmas time and around holiday and seasonal periods like Mother's Day, Father's Day, etc. We're coming into Father's Day very soon. So we're going to see that start to appear, where there's a lot of people in the conversion zone looking for things. And at the moment, because we're so close to Father's Day, online, the conversion zone is actually quite large for Father's Day gifts to be shipped, particularly into the major cities. So if we're seeing that people are spread across this spectrum in awareness, consideration, and conversion, you can see why Coca-Cola, Nike, all the big brands, Disney are spending so much time and so much money sitting in the awareness stage rather than the consideration and conversion. Because if they can keep putting people into that awareness stage, becoming aware of their products or reminding them of their products, in the case of those biggest brands that are household names, then it's a lot easier for those people to drip down through to the consideration stage. So when they're deciding whether they're going to eat a burger tonight, in fact, my a house guest came home just about 45 minutes ago, said, I feel like a burger tonight. Where's a good place to buy a burger? Now, I can tell you now that McDonald's and Hungry Jack's are spending money like crazy in this consideration zone right now. But I wouldn't know that it's Hungry Jack's and Macca's unless they'd made me aware of their brands much, much longer, over a longer period of time, through advertising and lifestyle and vouchers and billboards and sides of buses and promotional deals that they do. So now in the consideration phase, I'll also find that I get a daily email from Domino's. So they're also trying to get me to consider being pizza instead of burgers at this time of the night. I don't know why, but Domino's just really know their market well. They know damn well that I'm likely to eat pizza on a Friday night, and they know to definitely send me a great deal about pizza on a Friday night. Their business in this is just phenomenal. So this is why you need to consider a sales funnel, because people live in all those different parts of that circle. But the vast majority of them are living in the not aware of you and what you do stage. So you need to make them aware of what you would do, but you also need to be there with consideration. You also need to be there when they're converting, because the reality is that most people just aren't ready to buy from you yet. They're not there yet. They're nowhere near that. All they're doing is going, oh, that's interesting. And that's the only thing they know about your brand. Now, unless you have ads that keep coming on, if you've got material that keeps coming in front of them, then they're not going to remember who you are. Unless you use this sales funnel, which then it then targets your ads that you put in front of them, particularly on things like Facebook and Instagram, and allows them to see the next step. And there are steps to the sales funnel. So if we need to look at what we realistically need to do to make this sales funnel work, we need to consider that, yes, the sales funnel is that awareness, consideration, conversion, and marketing needs to occur at every stage of that journey. It's not just in the one stage. It's not just in, at the top. It's not just making people aware. It's also making people consider you against others. It's also having marketing or advertising even that sits at the point of where they're looking to make their purchase. So how do we do that? How do we make sure that your marketing and your advertising is at every stage of that customer journey? Because that sounds bloody expensive, doesn't it? Having marketing at every stage of the journey doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be particularly expensive at all. The awareness level is where people discover you while they're on social media. So they discovered you. They didn't look for you. They don't know who you are. Remember that? It also could be the equivalent of TV and radio advertising. In some cases, in some regional areas, it's actually cheaper to advertise on television than what it is to advertise on Facebook. It's not like $10 a week or anything like that, but what it is, if you're spending a decent amount, say, let's say, $300 a week, which is a pretty solid amount to be spending on Facebook in a larger regional town or in a particular area of a larger city, then that's pretty much in TV and radio land. That's in a part of the spend, which actually gets you into traditional media as well. The key to ads here, they need to be interrupting and they need to be engaging. By interruptive, I mean they get your attention. They really get your attention. They're so bright. They're so cheerful. They have color. They have movement. This is why you should only ever use video ads at the top of this funnel. Now, you don't have to go and spend thousands of dollars getting a video ad made by a production company. Most of this can be done in Canva. In fact, you've just seen this whole presentation I'm running right now was made in Canva. And it's got plenty of really cool animations that are moving around. You can literally make the bare bones of a video ad, even a TV ad for that matter, in Canva or something similar to it. Maybe in video, which is another piece of software that's great for making pre-templated videos to be using for ads and posts on social media. Or you could be using Lumen 5 or Crello, Crello, which is similar to Canva. You get free trials on all these things. So try them out. See which one works for you, because you might be a person who likes Wave Video, which is a fantastic video tool, probably one of the better ones of them all. Or you might want to do some heavier production. So you use Adobe Premiere and all those kind of elements to make a really, really super professional ad. But the thing is with social media particularly, and for digital products especially, is you do not need to have that full production feel. In fact, the full production feel does tend to look to people like ads. So instead of going for that super, super ad production, go for something that's just bright and cheerful and gets attention. Faces get attention. So that's why so many ads have faces on them, people talking to screen, is because we as humans are geared evolutionarily to connect with other faces, to connect with other human beings. So you can try that. The engaging part of it is that it gives you something to respond with. So it may ask a question. It may ask you to click somewhere to do more. Somehow it makes you want to click on something, say, to like or to share or to comment or to heart react something. Any of those kind of things are considered to be engaging. Now, the beauty of an ad that's not just interruptive and gets your attention, but is also engaging, is that it spreads the ad further across the network than what you're even paying for. So whilst you're paying for it to get to more people, you might be boosting it or running it as an ad on Facebook and Instagram. The act of somebody actually engaging with that ad, putting some sort of comment on there, especially comments are great, that shows up to their following. That shows up to the people who are connected to them. All the time, I'm seeing people commenting upon ads in my network of people. And that's when I know, oh, okay, I'm seeing that, not because the ad's interesting to me, but it's interesting to my friends. So Facebook or Instagram will put that up in front of me because they're like, look, if he's interested in it, then he might also be interested in it. And she might be interested. And suddenly the ad goes a lot further than just what you've paid for. So really important to be not just attention getting when it comes to those ads at the top of the funnel, which is what we call the awareness, the top of the funnel, as opposed to the bottom, but also giving people a reason to answer a question, to react in some manner, or to share your ad. Imagine if someone liked an ad so much that they shared it with other people. Revolutionary, right? Then when we get to the consideration part of this journey, we're talking about educating people with more information so they understand more about your product and its point of difference between you and everyone else who's doing what you're doing. It's further info on your product or on your service. And it helps you at this stage that you can start to enter in outside of the social networks and start to work on your Google presence. And this is through search results, through what we call search engine optimization or SEO. That's not advertising, but it is a source of marketing. In fact, it's a massive source of marketing. Tell you what, most of my website visitors, they do not come from ads. They come from people who have found me on Google, not through ads, but through organic search results. They come in through the blog posts that I make. They come in through the pages for my products that I've advertised, that I've got on my site, and they are not drawn by any ads or anything like that. They're just people who go, oh yeah, I'm going to look for ClickStarter. I'm going to look for Cellular One, and they look for me by name. And that's the best kind of traffic ever because they're looking for specifically what my companies do. It also can be a source of retargeting. And retargeting is a funny thing. Retargeting is where you can go to someone's website, maybe after clicking on it in a Facebook ad. You go to that website, and not only does Facebook throw you new ads for that in the next 15, 20 minutes over the next couple of days, when you click on something and then suddenly you're just like swamped with messages of buying these shirts. Gosh, never buy cheap shirts from a Chinese drop shipping company because they will advertise and spam you with shirt ads forever. Like literally every day, I've got this same company just constantly advertising these shirts. that I've already bought from them. It's crazy. Retargeting is that thing that says, oh, this person came to this page on my site. They're clearly interested in this thing. Let's send them another ad through Google's banner ad network, which is called the display network, or more ads through YouTube, which, you know, is another element of Google, or more ads through Facebook, because that might have been, you know, where you clicked originally from. So if they see this come up, it reports back to Facebook, oh, this person's interested in men's shirts with crazy designs. Hey, send them an ad of a crazy designed shirt, just like the ones that we know that he's probably interested in. So this consideration stage is very much about reacting to what people did when they maybe saw your first video in the top of the funnel ads, and also educating more about what your product is. Because remember, at consideration, people are not just considering whether to buy your thing, but they're also comparing you to other people. They're not just looking for those shirts they saw from the New Chic shop. Don't say that 10 times fast. New Chic shop online. They're also looking at every other retailer that sells brightly colored shirts for men. A bit too much about my story there, isn't it? The conversion layer, though, is where people are searching with what we call intent. They're not just surfing the web. They're not just crawling around YouTube and watching videos. They're actually going to Google and typing in something that they are very deliberately looking for. And in there, they'll see a couple of things. They'll see Google Ads, and they'll also see organic search results, or what I call SEO-led search results. These are the ones that people have earned their place in the list, not the ones that paid to be at the top, but the ones who earned their place on the list of Google. So there's a bit of a difference there. With intent, Google now has a measurement with it. It understands where you are in the journey towards buying a product that you might be searching for. So they'll know, for instance, if I'm looking for wedding photographers, there's no other indications in all my online behavior that I'm getting married. So there's a good chance I'm looking for someone else. So my intent to buy is very low, and it can tell that because of all my other behavior. This is the first time I've ever looked for wedding photographers. So chances are I'm not looking to book a wedding photographer today. So that will be a signal to Google to throw back search results that lead to wedding photographers who are near me, who are not trying to make a sale necessarily. They're throwing up pages to go and learn more about them. So in this level, that would almost be the consideration level. It knows I'm in a consideration journey. I'm not looking to buy something now, but I'm looking for information to be educated about something. If I came back again next week and again searched for wedding photographers, Google says, oh, this guy's got a bit more intent. This is the second time he's come back here, and we can see he's been around the internet, read a lot of these pages. But a week later, after not looking at any more wedding photographers, he's coming back in here for a reason. And it feels a little bit deeper than the first reason he came here. He's looking to book someone. So what we're going to throw him is lots of pages that are about booking wedding photographers, and we're going to throw him ads that are all about getting someone booked today, rather than someone who may be just looking to show off their portfolio. He's looking for someone to book today. He's got a different mood, a different vibe around him. His behaviors are very different coming through. So at the conversion end, Google is very, very, very good at understanding that intent. What is the intent of someone coming through there? So when we understand the awareness, the consideration, and the conversion, we start to understand that there's certain things you have to do and places you get those parts of the funnel. In here, TOF means top of funnel, and MOF means middle of funnel. So essentially awareness and consideration. Now on Facebook and Instagram, top of funnel video is high impact stuff that's going to get attention. Remember, we're talking about that interruptive thing, getting attention, making sure people can see it as they're thumbing through the feed. This thing just stops them in their tracks, because not only is it a photo or something of something they really, really love, but it's moving, it's got motion, it's drawing them in. And we evolutionarily, we get very, very geared towards seeing things that are moving. It's like spotting the saber-toothed cat in the grasses before it came out to pounce and kill us, or looking for, you know, a particular kind of quail to hunt and eat. Those kind of things we want to do are all about looking for that high impact video ads, things that get lots of attention through Facebook and Instagram's feeds. Then the middle of funnel aspect, the consideration aspect, is where we retargeting those video views. Because remember, we've got a high impact video playing. Could be 15 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, could be 2 minutes long. It doesn't matter how long it is. What we want to do now is have a second campaign. So we've got a first campaign, which is in Google, they call them campaigns. First campaign is just to get that video out to as many people as we possibly can, right? Second campaign is we want to send a second ad. So an ad that's got a lot more information and a bit more educational content in it about the product or service we're selling. But we're only sending that ad out to people who have already seen the video. Now, why would we do that? Why would we only send out this great new educational video or graphic only to people who saw our first top of funnel video? The reason is because they already know who we are. They recognize us. And especially if you've used the same theme, music, the same colors, the same kind of attitude and presentation style, people then trust this. They go, I've seen this before. And a funny thing happens, like for instance, what was it? I stopped advertising on television in my local market in Darwin 2 years ago. I haven't run a single ad since then. I'm just about to start again. But there's people who swear that they have seen my ad and describe my ad recently. And they describe exactly the ad that I was playing 2 years ago. And I haven't played it for 2 years. I haven't paid for that. So they're looking at it and going, what's going on? Huh? And I'm like, no, I haven't played that in 2 years, but they remember it because visual and audio in combination, whether it's a TV ad or a Facebook ad, is a very trust building exercise. So that when someone sees that and they see it enough times, they tend to believe it. So the whole thing, the brands you know and trust, you only know and trust them because you've been told to know and trust them over a long period of time. ANZ Bank, National Australia Bank, Westpac, Commonwealth Bank, all the banks, particularly insurance companies, David Jones, what are they called? Myer, Kmart, all these brands that we're told to trust. And not necessarily because we dealt with them and it was a great experience, but most likely because we have been educated over a long period of time to trust these brands and recognize them when we see them. So when a second ad comes up, referring back to your initial ad, it's much more successful at getting people to want to get down to buy or at least to contact you or find out more because they feel like they recognize and trust you. So many of my sales come through because my logo was recognizable and they thought that it was the logo for a much bigger business and that I was a franchise and therefore I could be trusted because there's a bigger lot of people behind me. Little do they know when I first started, this fellow was it. I was the only person. I just managed to get that logo and that feeling out there enough times that people thought that this was the first, that I was a much bigger and much more trustworthy than what I was at the time. I might have had 2 clients at that time, but it looked like I was a national brand. That's a whole other webinar to be talking about, I think, because that's branding is a whole other approach that it needs to be done very carefully. So Google as another area, another platform you go to advertise on, Google is all about the middle of the funnel and the bottom of the funnel, the MOF and the BOF. So in the MOF, we're looking about clever search, text, or shopping ads. Another thing to not say fast too many times in a row, clever search, text, or shopping ads. The difference between these two is the search text ads are the ones that we know of as ads in Google. They sit at the top of the search results and have some words written about, maybe a few call outs to go to different places, might even have a button to click on to call that company. Shopping ads there are things that are to do with your online store. So if you're selling lots of scented candles, lots of essential oils, or lots of kids' clothing, for instance, then you'll have these search results at the top when someone's looking for cute kids' clothing for 1 to 2 year olds. They will then have a line, like a carousel of lots of different products that match your search. That's a shopping ad. So in the middle of the funnel where you're considering things and you're shopping around, Google knows that you're shopping around, so they're not going to send you directly to someone's online store. They'll send you to a selection of things that you can choose from that may be of interest. And you'll click on those and you'll go, oh, not that one, I'll click on the next one. Oh, that's really cute. I really like that one. So if you've got shopping ads running through Google's Merchant Center on their platform, then you're already really doing that middle of the funnel consideration thing really well. Remember, we can still do that through Facebook and Instagram. We can make people more aware of by educating them more about our products. This is the equivalent on Google. At the middle of the funnel, when people are in that consideration, they're not quite ready to buy from you, but they're pretty close. They're getting much closer. They're closer than what they were before. Wouldn't it be fun if they got into Google Ads and they saw your logo and your company name, a company name and a logo that they're trusted because they've seen it on Facebook so much? And then they're far more likely to clap on your tile of what you're trying to sell than the 50 other people that are trying to sell those, because they have trusted and recognized your brand or your name. And they may not have even bought from you before, but because they keep seeing it all the time, it makes sense to trust them. And then at the bottom of the funnel, that's where we're looking at people who are really close to buying, like they just need that final push over the line and then they're there. Well, this is where you're remarketing. So that's the Google words for what we saw before with retargeting in Facebook. We remarket people who visited our website. So let's just say in the middle of the funnel there, people went to the shopping ad, they tapped on the shopping ad, they went through to your website and they clicked on that to add it to cart, but they never actually went back and did anything about it. It sat there for another day and they haven't actually completed that sale. So there's things you can do through email to reach out and go, hey, you haven't completed your purchase, like I do with Johnny Big. I often go, oh, I'm going to spend $300 on new shirts. And they'll just go, oh, no, I better not, because, it's the wrong time of the month to be spending money. So they send me an email and say, hey, you left something in your cart. You should go and complete that and buy this thing. And I'm like, yeah, probably not a good day to do that today. So I'll empty out the cart. So it'll stop bugging me. But they don't stop bugging me. They start advertising to me through Facebook and they come up and say, here's a great shirt that we know you love. Here's a picture of it again and again and again. We're going to bug you till you buy that shirt. And I consequently today got a delivery from those guys because they bugged me enough that I finally got that shirt. They're really good. Or you could have more direct text ads in the search results. So we've had our search results go off to, let's just say, mywebsite.com, where they've seen a whole load of my stuff and they've seen a whole load of my products and services. Now, because I've been there and Google's able to track that I've been there, when I come back next time, I can get a search ad that is far more related to my intent. First of all, I was just browsing around, went to the website, looked at it, put in the cart, I won't bother. Went back and kept searching. But a day later, when I come back and I return to do that same search again, and I get another different ad for that same store, rather than the store that's saying, hey, come and try them on, see all the range of colors. This is like, okay, 10% off for 10% off for people who sign up for our website. It's a much more direct ad. It's asking me to do something. It's not just saying, hey, just browse the store. It's saying, nah, join our mail list or even just buy now. 30% off all men's clothing, buy now. 30% off all women's two-piece suits, buy now, that kind of thing. So that's the difference between your middle of funnel and bottom of funnel. Middle of funnel is giving you choices and educating you about the products. Bottom of funnel is just saying, buy me, buy me, buy me, buy me now. But it doesn't try to do that to someone who's new, to someone that they've never had any kind of dealings with before. That's kind of tacky. It's like going to someone's barbecue and introducing your multi-level marketing scheme to someone who never asked for it and kind of trap talking to you. It's like, oh, I don't really want to buy your crazy powders, potion and pills because, I kind of don't trust network marketing. Then that's not cool. That's going straight to the bottom of the funnel and going, here's a new sucker. I'll just attack them and ask them to buy my stuff. Whereas the much more efficient way of doing it, much more not efficient, the much more effective way of doing it is you make friends with that person over time and they need to notice that you've lost a lot of weight. And they ask you, how did you lose weight? And so, oh, I took this protein powder twice a day and it fills me up and I don't need to eat. Because I didn't eat, I lost a whole lot of weight and I feel great. And they're like, wow, okay, what's that? What's that all about? And then they go to the middle of the funnel and they educate you on, this is a product called, I don't know, Isogenics. And Isogenics lets you, replace your meals with tasty things in a lifestyle changing way that allows you to lose weight and get more out of life. I'm completely making this up. I've never, ever bought Isogenics. I have no idea what it is, but it's that middle of the funnel. Then finally, what will happen is that that middle of the funnel thing is that conversation that person had, because it was initiated by the customer and not by the company, they feel more trusted when that guy gives him a call and when the guy from Isogenics gives his friend a call and says, hey, you know that stuff we're talking about? Do you want me to come around and actually give you some samples to actually try that? That's bottom of the funnel. That's going straight to him and going, yep, I understand we've built a relationship. You now like me and trust me. You've seen that I've got results. Now I can tell you not just how I did it, but introduce you to the product that I use to do it. And that's where we've got the magic of the sales funnel. In a real life situation, it could be like someone selling their network marketing product to you, but in a real life situation, then you're looking at something like, for instance, any kind of sales funnel that exists for any product or service online. So whether you're trying to sell scented candles online or coaching services through your website, a sales funnel will help you achieve that much more efficiently. So the example would be a person sees at least 3 seconds of an ad on Facebook or Instagram, and then they are served another ad between 30 minutes and 24 hours later of seeing that initial video. So that's going from the awareness stage up here to the consideration stage. So they see that first 3 seconds, and because of that, you've got another ad which retargets people who've viewed videos for at least 3 seconds to give them this one. So that's a really broad example of it. Another example would be going to Google. A person clicks on a paid search result in Google, and that sends them off to a website. They go to that website, and that sort of trips a tripwire that says, oh, I'm going to send you another ad, but it's not going to be through Google search because you're probably not going to go there again today for this particular item. So what I'm going to do is when you go to news sites or anything like that, you're going to see display ads, so banner ads on those sites that refer to this search term you just put in. So if you were searching for swimwear and you go off to news.com.au and they take Google ads, you'll then see ads for that same swimwear place, that same online store. And you go, how did they know? Well, it's because you went there and they're able to track you. Now, because all this tracking and remarketing and all that's been damaged quite heavily by what's called iOS 14.6, which is a version of Apple's iOS operating system on iPhones and iPads that now defaults people to block themselves being tracked on websites by third-party cookies, which allow this kind of thing to happen. So Google and Facebook are kind of now in a position where they can't do as much of this retargeting, which is completely fine because it just makes us be more conscious of doing better work in our search engine results, better work on our search ads, and doing better ads at the top of the funnel, meaning those ads that people see on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook or anything like that. We just got to make them better. We've got to be not so lazy with them and get really inside what people really want to achieve out of buying what we sell them. So some options to consider when it comes to, I guess, the systems to use when you're doing this, because it's not always just simply about a Facebook or a Google ad. You may find in the awareness, consideration, conversion that it's actually worth spending more at the top of the funnel. And this is what the biggest companies do. They all do this. They spend tons more at the top of the funnel. Remember, this is the awareness stage. This is where 65% of people are. That's why you'd spend more. You want to make yourself more known and more easily recognized by people higher up in the customer journey, so that as they get closer to actually needing what you're doing, then they'll be more likely to recognize your ads and interact with them and actually go to the point of wanting to buy from you because they know and trust you, because they've seen your brand, they've seen your name, they've seen your business all the time and everywhere. So you'll spend progressively less as you go down the funnel. Now, most small businesses, they go the opposite way around. They spend tons in the conversion and nothing in the awareness and consideration. Or they might be online coaches particularly, or therapists, or people who are in the caring professions. They will often try and sell way too much up in the awareness, and then they're not getting anything to follow through. And there's some rules about that which I'll introduce you to later. A good option for someone selling things to business to business. So B2B is business to business. If your product or your service is not really for an end consumer, someone who's just another John in the street or another Jane in the street, it's for high-powered executives to get more out of their time, then going to Facebook probably isn't the place to go to, because they're actually trying to get more of their time. So they're not going to be wasting time on Facebook. But one area they may be they're trying to research candidates for jobs, or they may be reassessing their own career, or they're looking for people who are experts in the thing that they need to get done, they will be on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is, I'm running an ad campaign on LinkedIn right now. It's only in for people who are in the Northern Territory who will see it. And it's all about using me to spend their $10,000 grant for their small business on when they want to get new websites, new social media setups, new SEO help. They want to get a new brand sort of worked out for them, or learn how to use certain online systems. I've got ads running for that on LinkedIn, because my primary people are people who own businesses. So it's business to business. So LinkedIn is my primary platform I spend most of my time in when it comes to reaching out and marketing and getting people to know who I am, because that's where my potential customers mostly are. Now, whilst those people are also on Facebook, they're not necessarily using Facebook as a place to be interrupted with more messages about the thing they do for work. In fact, that might be quite annoying. When you're on LinkedIn, you're looking for things that are on LinkedIn that are to do with business and what you do. You're not there to be entertained necessarily. Oh, to a small degree, you could be, but you're not really there to be entertained. That's more something you do on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Instagram Reels and all that, where you're actually there to laugh a bit and see some stupid videos. That's not what you're doing on LinkedIn. So it's a great option for the middle of funnel consideration, for the top of the funnel awareness, but also for getting people to take an action such as booking a free call, downloading a free white paper, or getting a free, ebook. LinkedIn's great for that. Now, your cost per conversion is going to be higher on LinkedIn because it's more targeted on LinkedIn than what it is on Facebook. And it's considered that you're probably a business spending this, you're going to have more to spend than the average Joe. So I'm more happy. I guess I've actually got, I won't show you on screen because it'd be probably a bit of a problem with confidentiality. But what it is that I've got an ad campaign running on LinkedIn at the moment, and the same ad is running on Facebook. So what I'm seeing is that the cost per click at the moment is running at about, well, the cost per 1,000 impressions that it will get. So far, I've got nearly 18,000 impressions. It's costing me around about $21.59 to get about 1,000 impressions. The cost per click at the moment on this campaign, which is a top of the funnel video campaign, is about $7.63. So it's cost me $7.63 for each of the 50 clicks I've got. So I've spent what, $381 on this. Oh, sorry, no, got this wrong. $8.15 per click, and I've had 8 clicks. So 8 clicks at $8.15 is not stellar by any chance. It's only been running for 2 days, so I'm not expecting stellar results in 2 days. I'm going to run this thing for about a month before I'm ever going to judge it. But what it does remind me is that I need to be looking at this and going, okay, if this particular campaign is going to cost me what, $8.15 per click, I've got to be comparing that to others. So I compare that to the cost of what it is to get a click in Facebook, and Facebook is quite a lot cheaper than that. Facebook is running, if I bring that one up, at around about $1.19 a click. So, and I've had a lot more clicks. I've had about 70 clicks from Facebook. The problem is though, that the clicks I'm getting from Facebook, there may be more of them and they're cheaper, but only one of those is converted into an actual booking on my website. Whereas out of the 8 clicks on LinkedIn, 5 of those have converted into clicks to book time with me from my website. So the value I'm getting out of those 6 people who have come through, well, then the most valuable ones are coming from LinkedIn. So it's worth spending more to get those clicks for something which is potentially going to make me $10,000. Good question from Marie, who's asking how much it's costing me on Google. Google's the word I'm looking for. Let me just open that up. I'll tell you exactly how that is. So in this particular one, view the campaign. Been the most expensive one, but I've also been running it a lot further, a lot more broad. So I'm running currently at, move the chat window out of the way. So I'm spending an average of $10 a day, and I have got performance details. Open those up. It's a few clicks away. Yes, I know that what the impressions are. Tell me how much it's costing me. So actually, it's costing me for 527 clicks on Google, which I got a lot of. It's actually costing me 53 cents per click. So it's still a lot. Like I'm spending a lot on there. I spend probably about, between $5,000 and $6,000 a month. But that $5,000 and $6,000 a month will make me $20,000 a month in sales. So it's not like I'm spending ridiculously out of my budget realm. But Google has been delivering me a lot, and it's a much lower cost per click. But the difference is that it's not going to the same page on my website. It's going to a lower value product. So instead of a $10,000 product, which I'll get through these grants, it's going to my social media training page, which is about a $150 product. So it's a very, very smaller I've probably had about, out of those 527 clicks, probably about 20 to 25 successful conversions. So 20 to 25 at 150 is a good, decent amount. I've spent $401.31 on that campaign. So I bring up a calculator. After spending $401, I have got, was it 22 times 150? So that's $3,300 for a $401 spend. That's a pretty good return on investment, I would say. That's a good return on ad spend. I'm still working through the LinkedIn one and the Facebook ones. The Facebook one, I doubt it's going to get there. Probably they won't qualify for the grant. But the people who have come through LinkedIn, because they are businesses and they tend to be a little bit more, I'd say, established, they're probably more able to qualify for the grant. So that's a very important prospect there. They have to qualify through certain size of business and revenue of business to be able to get that grant. So we'll see how that goes. But at the moment, my Google ads are performing great. $3,300 worth of sales for $401 of ad spend. That's a bloody good return on investment. I really do. I'm very, very happy with my work on Google at the moment. And my work on Google is also based upon, I guess, people being used to who I am over a period of time. So it's largely based on retargeting my website views, not just looking for search results. I'm actually got people retargeting my website views that are generated by ads coming from Facebook. So they all work together. So why this works as always on and always working is that I've got lots of moving parts. I've got ads moving on LinkedIn, ads moving on Google, ads moving on Facebook. I'm just about to have new ads appearing on channel 10 in my market. So all those things will work together. I've got lots of stuff going top of funnel so that when people do need what they've got, they will recognize the name, recognize the logo, and know that when it comes up in the Google search results, that will be the thing that they trust above all the others. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to out-aware my competition. And it's pretty easy to do because they're not doing much. I may be spending, $10,000 to $15,000 a month on advertising my own business. They're spending nothing, but I'm also bringing in, a lot more sales per month than what they are too. So it's a very big difference. Is I'm spending big to get big. They're spending nothing to get a little bit. And I don't know, I feel like growing my business. I don't know about you. Hopefully you're going to try and grow yours too. Another option could be something like TikTok. It's a great option for mass brand building. This is like TikTok's ideal for when you're working with consumer products. So you're selling a Coca-Cola, you're selling something which is a product you can touch, hold, and sell lots of. That's the key though. It seems to be something that's low cost and you'll sell lots of. Trying to sell your $3,000 coaching program is not going to be really successful through TikTok, because you might be a coach and get a really good following. But the problem is, though, that people who are on TikTok are not in the market at that stage to be spending $3,500. But you can get in front of people. Now, mind you, TikTok's very expensive to advertise. It's probably the most expensive online platform at the moment. The lowest cost of advertising on TikTok, the very lowest reach they have, will still cost you $3,000 a month. That's the lowest thing you can do, which is just paid for TikTok videos that come up. And you have to not just produce an ad like you'd normally produce, just go to Canva and dodgy together an ad. This has got to be a brilliant, engaging, awesome ad that people on TikTok will love. It has to essentially be a TikTok itself, not just an ad. TikTok will stop you advertising despite how much you want to spend. They will not let you advertise if they deem that your ad is boring and uninteresting to its users, which is a pretty big step to make. It's like, your ad's boring. We don't want to take your money, but you want to spend 1 million, don't care. Your ad's boring. We don't want to take your money. That's the kind of attitude with TikTok. It's a very, very highly engaged platform. Much the same as Instagram, especially through Reels and IGTV. That combination is powerful. So the longer form video through Reels than just like a 15-second story, but the even longer format, which is up to 1 hour through IGTV, which is essentially a full episode, like a full webinar. I put my webinars on IGTV, and people see those things. They may not convert to be a customer, but they will have seen my face, they would have seen my branding, and they would have understood when they come to needing something that I do, that they'll recognize me and hopefully consider me to be the person they want to work with later on down the track. And there's also YouTube. Now, the YouTube is the great underrated warrior. There's as many people using YouTube as there are using a combination of Facebook and Instagram. So it's not necessarily a social network in the same way that Facebook is, but it is socially adapted. So you can leave comments, do likes, do subscriptions, all that kind of thing. YouTube ads are some of the best ads you'll find in the world. There'll be 15-second ads usually at the top, or you can do much shorter ads, even 5-second ads, which are high impact, do amazing work at branding, particularly letting people know that you exist and that you do something. As long as it's bright and vibrant, has movement, and is very engaging, makes people want to do something, then that's going to work really well. If you just have, a boring old animated, Canva thing coming up, it's not going to do particularly well. YouTube ads are run through Google's ad platform. So you run it through there. It's also good for consideration when you can mark, if someone's looking for how to build a Wix website, you can actually run ads which are targeted to people who are looking for Wix website tutorials on YouTube. So that'd be awesome. If you're building Wix websites for customers and clients, that's a great place to be. You're popping up as an option in their area for the thing they're looking for that you happen to do. That's a really powerful combination. It skips people often straight from the awareness through to the conversion because it's such a tight match to something they're looking for and that they're very interested in. So a bit of a recap and some rules along the way. First of all, always run top of funnel video awareness ads. Always. Doesn't matter what platform, always run video ads. Just always do it. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever it is, just run top of funnel video ads to always let the world know that you exist. Facebook, it's great because, people don't need to necessarily think your ad is the best in the world. They just have to see it enough times for it to get in their head. That's all you want to do there. So just run top of funnel Facebook video awareness ads and always run them. Secondly, have something to follow those initial video ads up with, because it's no point if they just seen you and they have no idea how to deal with you. So if you've got something which can retarget those video views, that's not affected by Apple at all. If you're retargeting people who are viewing 3 seconds or 15 seconds of your 60-second video, that's not affected by Apple or anybody, blocking retargeting. You can retarget that very easily with a follow-up ad, which is more direct. So it's not just saying, hey, we're awesome at this thing we do. It's saying, here's something that you didn't know about what we do for you and how it relates to you. Once you learn more, you may even want to go to our website and find out even more. So always run a follow-up ad. Don't just run just a single top of the funnel ad. Always have something to follow it up with. Thirdly, make sure that wherever you're sending people to, like a landing page or your website, is really optimized to make a sale. I've got a whole other webinar for that that I hopefully can bring about in late September, which is all about conversion optimization. It's about making something worth reading once they land there, because it's no point just getting someone to click a link, go to your website, it takes too long to load, it's in really boring language, the photography's crap, they can't really tell what it is you're trying to sell, and it doesn't even match the ads, so they don't even know if they come to the right place. What's the point of spending all that money advertising if they get to your website and it's crap? So that is a very important aspect, making sure that wherever they land is worth landing on. And to break down your budget and however much you may spend, about half of your budget should be spent in the awareness stage, about a quarter in consideration, and a quarter on conversion. The reason is because each one of those different cohorts of people are much smaller as you get down. So at awareness, you're advertising to lots of people. So you need lots of money to reach lots of people, but then you don't need quite so much when they've already expressed an interest by watching your video. And you definitely don't need as much when they've already expressed that they are very, very likely to buy from you because they've come down that sales funnel and have continued on to be where you need them to be to buy that product from you. So there's lots of different ways you can do that. I would say then also number 5 is asking that question, the big question, how much should I spend, or how much should I spend in my spelling when I was trying to rush this in. How much you spend is going to be a combination of what you've got to spend. Like the reality is you probably don't have $10,000 a month to spend, which is the most I've ever spent on ads in a month was 10 grand for myself. What have you got to spend? Where you are and what it costs. What have you got to spend is like basically in realistic terms, do you have $100 a month to spend? Do you have $100,000 a month to spend? That is going to dictate where you can advertise. What is also going to dictate is where you are, or more specifically, where you're trying to advertise to. If you're trying to advertise to everyone in Australia, you better have a lot of money and a lot of ongoing money because you're not going to reach them all. You're going to spend a lot of money getting in front of a lot of people who are probably not interested in what you're doing. So where you are is very highly dependent. If you're selling to a local area, just sell to your postcode. Just make it your postcode or make it to your town. If you're in somewhere like Townsville or Cairns, sell to the whole of Townsville and Cairns. And you can do that for about $350 to $400 a month and comfortably do that. If you're on the Gold Coast, add another $150 to $200 on top of that. The realistic thing is as you get to the biggest city and you want to reach that whole city, it's going to cost you more to do it. So where you are is going to determine how much you're going to spend, not because of where you are, but because of where you're trying to sell to. What it costs is about what your product costs. If you're selling a $3 thing and you want to sell 100,000 of them and you need to get everything out at a cost per click of no more than about 20 cents at the top, any more than that and you're losing money, well, then you're going to have to spend a lot. You're going to have to do a lot of stuff to get in front of a lot of people because most people are not going to care about that product, but those who will buy it on a impulse. If you're selling a $3,500 body rejuvenation package that's going to be over 6 months, that's something that people have to go through a bit of a longer period of time to consider whether they should do it. And your ads should expect to cost more. If I was selling, well, I sell a $3,500 package for a website. I expect that it's going to cost me anywhere up to about $70 to $80 to acquire the customer to sell that. In fact, it might cost me up to $200 to $300 to acquire someone to sell them a $3,500 website. That's still a pretty good return on investment. $300 to $350 for a $3,500 website. That's a good return on investment, but I still got to spend that money. And I see that when I'm advertising websites, that when I add it up and go, oh my goodness, I spent so much on advertising for websites, but then I see how many websites I made that month. Oh yeah, okay, that was totally worth it. Yeah, okay, cool, no problem, that's all right. As you get more established and get a little bit bigger, those figures are not going to seem quite so scary. I'd like to thank you for joining me this afternoon or this evening, depending on where you are. My name's Dante St. James. You can get in touch with me through that email address, dante@clickstarter.com.au. Stalk me on LinkedIn. I'm very, very active over there. I post stuff every single day and I really enjoy it. I love chatting with people over there. If you've got questions, LinkedIn is a great place to catch up with me, but I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, so you can follow me there. My Insta is not very businessy. It's more about the pretty things that I see in the street that I like to take photos of. And also remember too, that if you are not already part of the ASBAS Digital Solutions Program, you can join the Digital Solutions Program, the new one that starts tomorrow at businessstation.com.au. Thank you so much again. I really hope you enjoyed it and you got something of value out of this. In the meantime, though, go and have some dinner and I'll see you in the next one of these videos.